Hello and welcome to Riding Bikes. I don't feel very good. I woke up the other morning, like day 6 of corona symptoms. I don't know where I was. I didn't recognize my girlfriend. And for like 30 seconds, I didn't even know my own name. Yay, corona! It's scary. Today we're talking about why the KTM 690 Enduro R or Husqvarna 701 is the ultimate ADV unicorn platform. You know, you're like endlessly watching bike review videos. There's an addiction. This bike is the best, and like that bike is the best, and like, oh, you have to have this. Oh, it's so good to ride. Oh, it's so amazing. Oh, you've got to get it. Oh, never mind the fact that it weighs more than 200 kilograms. No, let's talk about how we create a unicorn. A unicorn has to do it all really well as your one and only bike. Super fun road and commuter work, highway touring, trail riding, racing, maybe. Good luggage options, powerful yet manageable in all situations, easy to work on, pleasurable to the eye. That would be a unicorn, right? Did I miss anything? Notable things before we get into it. Both the 690 Enduro and the SMC 701 Enduro and Supermoto have fully adjustable WP suspension. Different years and models of the 690 and the 701 come with different electronic additions and engine sizes. 2009 R model has rubbish headlights, but that's easily solved. The older 690s don't have ABS, but they do have rider modes that you can edit yourself to really tailor the bike's behavior to your riding style and needs. I've done a video on that, link somewhere. And it's one of the major reasons that I chose the 2009 model versus quite a lot of the other ones. 2012 saw the engine size go from 654 to just under 690, or is it just over 690? Trouble with the new engine size is that those models of bikes now need you to go to the dealer to do all your remapping, or you can get a power commander to remap the bike to your taste. 2009, do it yourself. 2014 onwards have ABS as stock, which is great for hooning, but you need a dongle to switch it off. Kind of annoying, but it's just a dongle. 2017 saw the loss of the rider mode map switch, which is under the seat or on the handlebars if you put it there. But again, you can use a power commander to give yourself different rider modes. There's a new counterbalancer stuff, among other things, to smooth out the not really noticeably vibration-y engine kind of thing. 2019 comes with rider mode, fancy ABS, traction control, dramatically updated, but not massively long travel suspension, all the toys. Let's get into it. How tall are you? Some people are going to say the 690 is too tall. Don't be defeatist. Second thing, Meg's brat, check her out, her skills. If you reckon you can't ride on tippy toes, just check out her channel. Thirdly, these bikes can get really low. Yes, lowering a bike is harder than dropping the forks in the triple clamps or putting a lowering link in. You have to get it done professionally. That is true. It does cost a bit of money, but you can get the 690 Enduro or the 701 to go quite a lot lower. Add to that lower seat height. But on the other side of that, if you want proper dirt bike levels of suspension, the 2009 has 30 centimeters of suspension travel, which is more than the years before and the years after. That's like proper dirt bike levels. Bash plate, that's a good like 34 centimeters off the ground. And with that said, seat height is whopping 97 centimeters high, kind of thing. I thought it might be too tall. It took a little bit of getting used to. Just got to be better at keeping your feet up rather than putting your feet down. For me anyway. So yeah, if you are vertically challenged, this is where you now have the option of not just the 690 but the 701. Ergonomics and rider position, it's upright, being a dirt bike. Depending on the length of your extremities, there's a ton of things you can do to change the ergonomics. Now, the handlebars and clamps have multiple settings at stock. You can move them forward, you can move them backwards in the triple clamps, but even with the addition of aftermarket, you can dramatically change what you do. Like for instance, on my bike, I've got bar risers. Because I'm tall, I like to be able to have my bars higher up when I stand up. I've got different peg heights, positions, sizes, widths, you name it. I've got the stock ones on at the moment. In the post, I've got 25 millimeter lower, wider rally pegs. Who knows when they're going to turn up? Corona. Linky. So now we figured out roughly which base model you might want to go with, whether it be height or toys, electronics. I'm all about the 2009, personally. What's it like? Let's start with road, muting, twisty manners. How nimble is it? It's nimble as with street-oriented tyres or, oh my god, supermoto tyres on the Enduro. Before I go any further, one of the ways to make this 690 or 701, the Unicorn, just get supermoto tyres. They're so easy to fit. Whack off the front wheel, whack off the back wheel, pop in your supermoto ones, and you're off. So you don't need two bikes, you need two sets of wheels. Failing that, when I am not off-roading and using knobbly tyres, I just put on Metzeler's Sahara 3s. Technically dual sport tyres, but they are so good on the road. Like really just super fun, and you can really push them in corners, and they're really nice and stable. They are great tyres. Good work, Metzeler, so good. Traffic and filtering. It's pretty thin, especially if you've got folding mirrors, or in my case, no mirrors. Being upright, you can see over cars, vans too, if you stand up. You don't have to ever worry about car mirrors because your bars are just so much higher than. You might, occasionally come close to tapping the odd mirror on like a Range Rover or whatever. They're quite precious about their cars, and they can hear you coming. They generally get out of the way because they don't want their cars to be damaged. Which leads on to loud pipes save lives. Debatable. They certainly make you feel like you're travelling faster. I'll give them that. Thanks to tinnitus, I've kind of grown out of taking the baffle out of my exhaust. I'm running the Akrapovic, and it is offensive without the baffle in. With the baffle in, it's fine. But when I go into London, I like people to know that I am there. I don't like people trying to switch lanes into me and try and cut me off, which they did all the time when I was on my really quiet old bike. Just like people just didn't know I was there unless you're hammering the horn all the time. Oh my long. But generally, it's a good note with either the wings or the Akrapovic, or if you're into it being really loud, no baffle. But like I said, I'm not into that really anymore, unless I'm in London. Earplugs in, baffle out. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. Sorry, neighbours. Commuting wise, comfort is a big thing, right? Everyone's, how comfy is the seat? Yes, it's a dirt bike. Yes, it's a dirt bike seat. Outside of the hyperspace armchair and various other adventure riding and dual sporting or whatever, kid you not, this is the second most comfortable seat I've ever had on a bike. Maybe it's because it's a 2009 and it's like, and that sponginess is just kind of really worn into it, and it's actually quite comfortable now. 701s and newer 690s that I've ridden, even the 790, I didn't think it was that comfortable. Like second most comfortable seat I've ever had on any of the bikes that I've owned, outside of the hyperspace armchair, which was number one. For road riding, it's obviously a slightly different setup suspension-wise for what you would have for off-road. I try and go for like a benchmark setting that kind of works for off-roading than the road. But if you know you're going to ride more road, because it's fully adjustable, you change out the springs, you change out your shock spring, and you get it set up for your weight. Even the manual will tell you how to set up your suspension, your sag and all that business. You set all that up properly and you can set it up for a proper supermoto feel. You can get it fairly stiff, which just makes it hilarious on the road. Even in a off-road setup with road tyres on it, still amazing on the road. Love it. That said, thank you Jeff Slavens. Thank you, Liz at Rally Road Products. Jeff hooked me up with the springs for the front. Rally Road hooked me up for the spring and the shock. Once I changed that, it was a different bike. Like when I first got it, I was a little bit like, oh, it's a bit weird. It feels a bit strange and wallowy. I weigh quite a lot. Rotund, big boned, whatever you want to call it. Sort out your springs. Next, highway and touring manners. So I went to the local sausage fest, Rikers at Box Hill. Most folk I spoke to about the 690, pre the fairing upgrade that I've done. I only had one immediate issue with it as an adventure dual sport touring bike, and that was wind deflection. Depends how fast you want to go, I suppose. How much do you really need? You can buy screens, you can make your own screen, you can get a fairing. Are you traveling long range, or are you just doing short trail rides or whatever? Therefore you probably don't need like the full fairing experience or even a screen or whatever. I love the fairing because I can mount all my stuff. I can mount my phone, I've got like a charger thing for all the bits and bobs, and it gets all of the weight of all the navigational stuff, especially considering that long term I want to do some navigational riding stuff with like a road book and all that business. I don't want all that on some bracket on the handlebars, like making it really like wallowy and steery or whatever. So I've gone with, got a really good deal on it as well. So also on highway, long range, it's a high power dirt bike, let's be straight. Everyone's like, oh, surely at 90 it's just going to be really unstable, especially on knobbly tyres. And to that I say, how much time do you spend adventure touring at 90 miles an hour? Quite a lot. Get a steering stabiliser. then you're stable at like a ton or more on underinflated dirt knobbies. What an incredible difference to the bike. Just get a steering stabilizer, you won't regret it. Are there a lot of vibrations from, you know, single cylinder on highway for like hours on end, without a steering stabilizer? Yes. With it? No. It's great. So for highway, again, we'll come back to comfort and the seat. And again, outside of the hyperspace armchair, which you can't really beat, it's so comfortable. I really rate the 2009 seat. Don't like the ones that came afterwards. I think they're too hard. I don't even like the KCM ergonomic comfort seat. It's like a power part thing. They're just weirdly uncomfortable. It leads to weird chafing. But I've done 14-hour road rides, no off-roading, so just sitting down the whole time. No tears, no pain. Your cheeks may vary. If you need more cush for your humps, then Renasco Seat Concepts, they can build lower seats, more comfortable seats, like Linky. Range of fuel, highways, stock tank, under the seat. Let's go with 140-ish miles of average riding. With the addition of the Raid Garage under seats 6-litre fuel tank, we're looking at 200 plus miles, which for doing long range, 200 miles is a good amount until you're getting into the middle of nowhere. Outside of that, perfect fairings, Adventure Rally Kit or the Adventure Rally Kit Lite, that gives you what, 300 plus and a full rally setup. Amazing. Having said that, let's touch on weight. Rally Kit will make it super heavy, you may say. Why not just get like a 790 Adventure? Now, being an Adventure dual sport, silly power dirt bike stock, it weighs about 150 kilograms wettish. 790, you're looking at 20 litres of ball bag, low hanging tanks, and it weighs 203 wet, with a range of 280 miles. If you ride really slowly, I'm sure you might get that. 203 kilograms, and it only carries 20 litres. That's quite a lot of weight, which is why I'm not sitting here saying that the 790 is a unicorn, no matter how much the internet wants me to believe that it is. It's not. Don't get me wrong, I've ridden it a lot, as I have the Hyperspace armchair. It's not the unicorn. Sorry. Now the 690 wet with full adventure rally setup, still going to be looking at around 180 with 30-ish litres of fuel, full navigation setup and all of that. That's kind of one of the big things about why this is such an awesome bike. Yes, it's not super light, but it can do long range work at very high speeds on the highway if you want it to. And if you really want to have the full long range experience, you can do that. And relatively speaking, you go full rally setup on one of these things, it will probably cost you just a little bit more than a top of the range 790 and Adventure R. Right, which is why it's such a unicorn. There's so much you can do with this bike, depending on how you want it to work. You choose how your unicorn works. Let's not even talk about the Hyperspace armchair, just ridiculous. Okay, the important bit, off-road capability. It's a high-powered dirt bike that was based on the Dakar-winning 690 Rally Factory replica. It's not the same, but it's based on it. Outside of having like 30 to 45,000 pounds to build Rally Factory replica with all the Rally Factory parts, this is your way in. And being based on that, it's really capable off-road. Great at everything, arguably not that great at single track. Adventure Green Lane Rally stuff, weapon. 21-inch wheels in the front, 18 in the rear. Tyre choices are plentiful, whether it be dirt tyres or whether it be road bias tyres. You choose. Again, my big thing, not having supermoto tyres, is to have more road-based tyres that I can just quickly get the levers out and whip it off and whip them on. I did that quite a lot last summer. It gets quite tedious. It's a lot of tube pinching. I'm much better now. Again, like I said, for road work, if you set the suspension properly, get the right springs in the front, get the right spring in the back, set your sag, sort out your preload and everything, just do it properly. Off-road, it is a joy to work with. Again, before, when I had too light a spring in it, it was challenging off-road. It really was. But now that I've sorted it, it's like a different bike altogether. Can't stress enough. Like if you're a big guy, do it. You won't regret it. Like I said before, it is slim. Like even with all the rally tanks that would make it that little bit wider, it's really slim. So when you are doing quite technical, meter deep, wet, muddy ruts that are like 1.5 feet wide, you know you're going to get through it. You're not going to get your boxer engine stuck or your low-hanging ball bags like caught, smashing them on rocks, like going past stuff. It is like a big dirt bike. It really does get through the most incredible situations, and the traction is incredible. And you won't find yourself stuck hanging from the top of 2 ruts like you will on bigger adventure dual sport bikes. What's it like in muddy bogs and sand and stuff? It's good fun. Quite like it. Again, if you set the suspension properly, like it does just track through really deep mud and sand really, really well. Again, before I did the suspension properly, it was just front was just bogging all the time. The weight was kind of all over the place, and it was, yeah. Set it up properly, and it is hilarious in virtually all off-road situations. Now, suspension travel. Again, this one here, this particular model, the 2009 versus the 2008 or even the 2010, 11, 12 thing, has 30 centimeters or 300 millimeters of travel in the suspension, and the bash plate is about 34 centimeters clearance of the ground. Obviously, that goes down when I get on it. I would prefer to be tippy toes, knowing that I've got a good bit of ground clearance. I like to try and get over quite big things, like baby head rocks, sizable logs. And it deals with it, no issue whatsoever. Like when I had a slightly lower adventure bike, the amount of times that almighty crack hitting like a really massive rock, which is like that big, on your bash plate, and just thinking to yourself, thank God for the bash plate. Barely had any of that ever since, and I've ridden quite a lot of the same trails as I used to on my old adventure bike, which was quite a lot lower, 240 clearance. Yeah, there's no bashing. That said, props to Adventure Spec. This is an awesome, awesome bash plate. Some would say it's 150 stock. It's too heavy for off-roading. I remember, this is about how it's the unicorn, not a seahorse. I don't want to drive a van with a bike in it just to get to the trail that I want to go and do. I want a bike that can take me into London, or it can take me to the south of France or whatever, and just hammer out the miles, or go and do quite technical off-road stuff. Everything. I want to be able to go and do twisties. I want to be able to go and do this. I want to be able to go and do that, all without the addition of having to trailer it somewhere. The bike that can do everything. Also, even if you are saying 150 is too much, that's still way lighter than most adventure dual sport bikes out on the market. There are some that are lighter. This is more fun. While I'm ranting about weight, let's talk about luggage. It's up to you. I'm not a round the world adventurer. I'm mainly a long range trail riding type. So I prefer to travel really quite light. And I like the softness of an Airbnb bed. So I'm only really carrying spares and tools, maybe a t-shirt or whatever. If you want to carry more, that's fine. You can get loads of options to these bikes. Hard panniers, soft panniers, tank bags, fender bags. You know the drill. Check out Enduristan or Wolfman. I'm running the Wolf at the moment. Where is it? Here's a little thing of it. I burnt a hole in mine, not because I'm a bad man, because I'm a penis. Turns out you've got to make sure before you go for a ride that you do remount your exhaust heat shield. Idiot. So how much do you and your luggage weigh? It's a really important factor with setting up these bikes properly to be unicorns. The stocks bring in this particular model, the 2009 super high one, 85 Newton meter there. With my weight and the limited tools and stuff and all my gear is super, super wallowy. So the back end was like down, especially with my weight when I was bouncing around. And it's kind of like a pogo stick. It was horrible. And now I run a 95 and I've set the preload and everything correctly. But it doesn't stop there. Most people think that just changing out the shock spring is the way forward. If anything, it was good. But then the front, quite often feeling like it was quite low down. Jeff at Slavens, I got in touch with him and we talked about how much I weigh, what kind of riding I do. And he suggested a certain weight of spring for the front. Can't remember which one it was. A link here down below. What a difference. Do the front, do the back. What's it like to maintain? I love doing all my own maintenance. Gives a real, like, when I die, it'll be because of something I did wrong kind of vibe whilst I'm riding along. It's good for the brain. Plus you learn quite a lot. It's a really easy bike to learn. There's a really comprehensive workshop manual. So if you're not Spanish shy, it's great. So with that in mind, I carry a few more tools than your average rider. I've figured out like what the ultimate kind of tool set is, and it's like 5 times the size of the little thing you get under your seat kind of thing. For the most part, I can, outside of a full engine rebuild, completely rebuild the bike at the trail side if I need to, change tyres, everything. It's all very straightforward. How long between oil and filter change compared to a competition bike, which is like every 600 to 1,000 miles at best. These are 5,000 kilometers between oil and filters. I do every 2,000 miles just because it's really easy. It's such an easy oil and filter change. I reckon I could probably do it in like 8 minutes or something. Challenge? I might do that. Generally, you can fix it yourself. It doesn't need a 5-star dealer experience, which you don't get on the trail. Like, you have to know how to fix stuff. And I love bikes that are super easy to work on. Yes, there are a lot of preemptive mods and upgrades that you kind of need to do to make sure that it won't let you down in the middle of nowhere. 690s do actually have a little bit of a reputation for leaving you stranded in the middle of nowhere because this part broke or that part broke. But if you understand what those things are, you can check them regularly and they're not going to let you down. I'm not going to talk about what all those preemptive mods are now because that's like a whole extra video, and this video is going to be long enough as it is, so let's leave that for a different video. I I learned what all the preemptive mods were, mainly because I bought this beast quite a terrible state of repair. And again, I don't mind wrenching. I don't mind buying a bike that's in a really bad state. If I'm going to be doing lots and lots of traveling, I almost kind of want a bike that's in a really bad state, because it means that I can learn all the things that can go wrong with it. And I learned so much in the first 6 months. Now, I know almost everything there is to know. And that's what I love about this bike. You can learn all this stuff quite easily. There's like a million forums that will help you figure out how to turn it into the perfect unicorn for you. You can completely change everything about it. You can make it low, you can make it high, you can change how the engine behaves, you can change how the throttle behaves, you can change the general shape and position of everything. Like, it is the perfect all-rounder. Power and electronics. I think the 690 and the 701 have got plenty of power. How much does it actually have? This model is, I think, the 64 horsepower 654cc engine. All the newer ones, I think it's post 2012, are the true 690 engines that are more like 74 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in a 150 kilogram bike, that is so much fun that you don't need 130 horse. Maybe you do need a 130 horsepower bike. I like the whole power to weight ratio thing. So with the addition of the tool, Tune ECU, which is either an Android or PC laptop program, you can remap the engine and the throttle to however you would like it to be. That is an incredible, powerful tool, which allows you to really, really hone this unicorn into what you really, really want it to be. It is mad technical, but just what a tool. So good. Links below. Power to weight ratio. If you want hyperspace armchair levels of power at 160 kilograms, do the Linden Posket 732cc conversion. Properly mapped will have an incredible power to weight ratio. No, it's not going to be 130 horsepower, but I reckon it will be somewhere in the 80s of horsepower, which in a bike that weighs 150, 160 kilograms is savage. That said, like, subscribe, check out the shop where I sell all manner of motorcycle-based clothing, homewares, shower curtains and bath mats and mugs and phone covers or whatever. Got a massive selection of bikes on there. Support the channel, buy some clothes, buy some stuff. If we can get this channel to the point where I can afford to do the 732 conversion on the engine, I will buy it and I will build it myself. I'll do a video series about how to put it into the engine, all the parts that you need, and remapping it, which will be like a behemoth task. If we can get the channel to that point, the savagery of how powerful and how torquey this engine would be, even now it still scares me. But yeah, like and subscribe. Let's get it to that point where we can do that build series and make the 690 Enduro the monster that it could be. Imagine like a 732cc 150 kilogram monster dirt bike. Come on, that'd be amazing. If you still got in your mind that a 690 might not satisfy your power needs, bear in mind that in the land of abrasive humour and willy-wagging big bike riding adventure, this is called the cheetah bike. There's a reason that it's called the cheetah bike. It's because it's lightweight and it's powerful. Go down to your local dealer once this corona nonsense is over, take out an Enduro, take out the 701 or whatever. They are so much fun to ride. So obviously what I'm talking about here is not how at stock trim these bikes are the unicorn. Almost all bikes are not going to be a unicorn, but with the aftermarket upgrades that you can possibly do, you can turn it into the ultimate mid to lightweight adventure bike, which does everything. Maybe with supermoto tires as backups. This is the unicorn. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Write it in the description. Tell other people why your bike is the unicorn versus this, or if you agree, just give it a thumbs up. If you don't, let me know why. That'll do. Did I miss anything?